Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualist, my asexual life. This is supposed to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I can share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified. Ooh, excuse me. Every time I go live like now, post a new video, I've just decided to eat very quickly before coming on this quick stream, because then I've got to audio chat with my best asexual friend and their partner. I'm really looking forward to that. So I've rushed my food down, so you have to excuse me. But yes, if you're going to like this content, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, subscribe and hit that bell icon. So today we're going to be talking about hyperromantic polyamory. A hyperromantic polyamorous person versus like hyperromantic monogamy. So I today was interviewed by a person who's a fan of the show, Altair, and nice to see you. And they are doing a new channel which is going to be about sex and sexuality. And as far as I can tell, I was the first one to be interviewed for this wonderful new channel they've got coming out, which will probably be out in about a month's time. And so one of the topics we got on to talk about is hyperromanticism, because this is how they found my channel. They were looking for to explore different types of attractions, and particularly they wanted to know more about hyperromanticism. And then they came across one of my videos where I was sharing my hyperromantic experiences. And it was Liam. Hello, Sandra. Great to see you. Lots of love. Lovely to see you, Liam. Lovely to see you. And so when we were sharing our experiences together, obviously this will be on their channel, the whole interview, if you like. But when we were sharing our experiences, they came across my channel, they explained in the interview, because they were looking for hyperromanticism. And I was sharing my frank and open, honest feelings about hyperromanticism, how it affects me. And so they very much relate to me. So they are not monogamous. I'm monogamous, they're polyamorous. I'm a hyperromantic, they're a hypersexual, but they're also a hyperromantic hypersexual. I'm not hypersexual, I'm sex repulsed, for me, asexual. So we're very opposite in terms of I'm monogamous, they're polyamorous, they're hypersexual, I'm not interested in sex at all, and we're both hyperromantics. And it was very, very, very interesting and informative and insightful and very helpful to me to hear what it's like for another hyperromantic person to basically experience multiple attractions for different people. And it was just nice to hear someone else I could relate to, because there's not many people I can talk to about this. Like, obviously I talk to you on this channel, but there's not many people that really understand it, and how it's, how it can be very, very difficult. It's not something that is a joyful experience a lot of the time. It's something that can be a very painful experience. So in terms of hyperromantic polyamory, so if I take Altair's life, for example, they have recently, over the last few months, become involved in a relationship with another polyamorous person, and that's their primary relationship. So they've got one person who they spend the majority of their time with, and they've got other relationships, such as online relationships, they were explaining. And they still want marriage and kids with their hopefully maybe with their primary partner, but it's early days between them yet. But ideally that's what they want long term. And I believe their partner wants it as well, their latest partner, and they really adore their latest partner a lot. And so it's very insightful to be able to talk to someone who's not monogamous and how the dynamic with polyamory works. Even though I'm not polyamorous myself, I'm fiercely monogamous. I believe in helping everyone I can on this channel, and that means also helping people to help themselves and to find themselves and to discover who they really are, who they're born to be, and what type of relationship suits them. Just because I'm fiercely monogamous, I don't personally agree with polyamory for me. I understand that for some people who also, basically, if you've got a polyamorous person, they usually need to be in a relationship with another polyamorous person, although this isn't always the case, because some asexuals, they're monogamous, as in they don't have multiple relationships, they just have one person, but they still allow, if you like, the other person to have multiple relationships while in the relationship with them. I personally couldn't do that. And I was saying that I have very strict boundaries, like in a relationship, I will, I reserve cuddling for in a relationship, kissing for in a relationship. So with Altair's conversation. It was amazing because they said they used to feel guilty about experiencing attractions to multiple people. They used to kind of like judge themselves, even feel really bad about it, feel guilty about it. And it really, really was difficult for them, you know, and they could, you know, they began when they started exploring for their degree, their sociology, like I think it's sociology they're taking. So they're interested in being social worker, I think, or something like that. They're basically, hopefully I've got that right, they're basically, they were looking at different sexualities and also different types of attraction, which they didn't really understand how many different types of attraction there is. Obviously, I specialize in different types of attraction. You know, I talk about closed attraction, intelligence attraction, creative attraction, a lot of attractions that not many people have heard about or talk about on other channels, you know. So I'm very much into delving into myself deeply, finding out what really makes me tick. And he had done that a lot with himself. He'd really come to terms with himself, and you know, sometimes you just can't help who you are. I mean, you really can't help who you are, and if you go around hating yourself, it's not a good thing. And sometimes, you know, like for me, I'll come on to me in a minute, you know. So for Alter, he's come to the conclusion that it's better for him to have multiple relationships because he finds it really hard when he's attracted in multiple different ways to multiple different people at once. And he feels that not to give some sort of interaction with, you know, with people that he cares about, that he has his feelings towards, would be kind of like doing himself and them a disservice, if you know what I mean. And so he really wants to get to know that kind of their soul, their personality. He's very, thanks for the thumbs up. He's very, very romantic person. He's a hyper romantic like me, so it took him a while to discover that. So he feels that, you know, like by not having multiple people, it's kind of letting them down and himself down. He's not really living his true self and he can't help who he is. And so for me, that was a really nice way of listening to someone who's polyamorous. It wasn't the usual kind of like, although he said he's had this said to me, have your cake and eat it. He has been accused of that. But for me, it was very nice conversation, very kind, very polite, very exploring. I'm keen to know more about this, not because I want this type of relationship, but because I identified with the hyperromanticism, the judgment of myself, the terrible guilt I feel when things happen. And it was nice to just make it real, you know, make my experience real. I mean, I don't really hear many people talk about hyperromanticism. It's something that's very rarely spoke about, especially even in the asexual community. I don't hear, I mean, obviously, if Altair came across my channel, that's a smaller channel, then there must be a lack of kind of hyperromanticism representation. And I was explaining to him that for me, it's very difficult because I can have feelings for multiple people, and that, you know, like some of my closest friends, like my best friend, I had a dream about them once and it wasn't something I wanted to dream about. I felt so guilty about real life, even though I'd not done anything in real life like that. But even the thought of any intimacy with someone who's just a friend of mine, you know, when I say a best friend, you know, it's not just a friend, you know, it was very, very painful. I was very upset, you know, I didn't want it to tarnish our friendship. And I just told the person about that. And Alter was saying that when they speak about how they feel with someone, it resolves the problem, it resolves the situation. And I find that if I tell someone I'm attracted to them, romantically, aesthetic, if I get it out in the open, it doesn't it doesn't compound, it doesn't make it bigger. I don't feel so bad about it. I can usually forget about it or feel less for it or give it less weight because I'm actually getting out in the open. It's when I bottle the feelings up, don't tell the person, start feeling really guilty, that the pain just intensifies, the feelings and emotions just intensify, and it becomes unbearable for me sometimes, to the point where it's very anxiety inducing. So, you know, I really related to the fact that he judges himself for being attracted to multiple people. It seems like he's just like me in that sense. He can't help it. Whereas the difference with me in comparison is I still seek a monogamous relationship. Although I'm attracted to multiple people, I don't come from polyamorous origins. I don't believe I am polyamorous. I don't have polyamorous intentions. I don't like that type of relationship personally. I find it hard enough to cope with one person in a serious committed relationship and to actually give my all to that person. But still, it's important to have friends as well. So personally, for me, I don't see that would ever work for me, you know? Because obviously someone said to me in the past, well, as you experience multiple attractions for different people, like, isn't that polyamorous relationship? Like, when you like, it's like, well, I've never been polyamorous. And I've asked myself the question because I think it's important to just ask yourself questions. Could I ever be polyamorous? And I can't see it happening. I mean, if I'd ever been in a polyamorous relationship, it would be me and 2 guys or something, or me and multiple guys. It'd never be with women, because I can't stand being in a relationship with any woman. And plus I get jealous of women, not men. Being with a bunch of guys could be fun. But you know what I mean? I laugh about it, but that's the only way it would ever happen. I can't see it happening because I don't want a polyamorous relationship. I'd rather give the majority of my love. Obviously I have friendship love, but I'd rather give the majority of my love to just one person, otherwise I think it gets too complicated, it gets really weird, and I just don't feel that way. I'm fiercely monogamous in my personality, but obviously it's something I've asked myself the question. I never would have asked that years ago. It would have been like not even on my own. But I think with exploring my sexuality more, with my asexuality, with exploring different ideas of different gendered friends, I haven't, I don't like, I've never wanted to physically be a guy, but I have got guy traits, and so exploring all these things about sexuality, types of relationships, types of attractions, I think it's a very healthy thing to do, and kind of my mind likes wandering and asking myself questions. I kind of like ask myself like an interviewer. So have you ever thought about this? Do you know what I mean? And it feels kind of weird because it's like, why am I even thinking? Would I even think like that when I don't think like that? That's pretty scary. Like, I've always been fiercely monogamous, But obviously, like, I do feel guilty. Like, if I get into a relationship with a guy and I have feelings for other people, other guys, other attractions, because I say people, I always mean guys, then it makes me feel guilty. It makes me feel bad. It makes me feel like I shouldn't be in a relationship, that I should stay single if I feel that way. And that I'm a really bad person, that I hate it, and it gets a bit upsetting because I can end up hating myself and I don't want to do that. So, I get a bit upset now, so it's very difficult for me. So I need to be, oh my God, crying moment. I need to be in a relationship really with a guy who understands that I'm fiercely monogamous, like I'm not going to go cuddling other people. I don't think it's right to go kissing other people when in a relationship. I just want to be in a relationship with him and give that type of affection and intimacy to him and not other people. And I don't want to be in any other relationship with any other people, just him. But he would have to be really accepting and loving towards the fact that I do have attraction with other people, and probably even allow me to talk about that, even though I'd feel guilty, because if I don't talk about it, it builds up to being more than it really is, than it should be, because I haven't spoke about it. But to me, that feels really bad. It's like, how can you get into a relationship with someone, Sandra, and expect the guy to be able to hear you talk about other guys? It's just not on. And so I really battle with that. I really find it difficult. I find it a hard topic to even talk about. As you can see, it makes me really uncomfortable. And, I think I should just stay single a lot of the time, because I think, what's the point? But I'm getting a bit tearful now. Because it was like, the reason I'm getting tearful is because I've never really had someone who understands that. Like, when I was talking to Altair, I didn't expect to cry, by the way. When I was talking to Altair, I was like, wow, this person really understands me like this for the first time in my life. And it was really difficult for me, like talking about this type of thing, because it's something I don't usually talk about. I don't like saying I've got multiple feelings for other people, because to me, I've always been a very big thing like that's wrong. But I know it's not wrong, in the sense that just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean to say you're not going to be attracted to other people, because in some ways it can be natural. But I always used to think in the past it's not natural. When you're with one person, you shouldn't be attracted to anyone else whatsoever at all, And I used to think it was very, very bad. And so I was very judgmental of that type of thing in the past. And I guess, like now I kind of like judge myself in that way, because it's like, well, I was judging myself in the past that way, because I did sometimes have feelings for other guys when I was in a relationship in the past. And I felt bad about doing it back then. It was very few. It wasn't very many guys. It's quite infrequent. But, most of the time I didn't look at other guys and I wasn't that interested in them. It's only towards the end of my last long-term committed relationship that I was in for years that I began kind of looking elsewhere, because I kind of realised that a relationship was coming to an end, I guess. And even though I was in the relationship with a British guy, he said to me, because I was with foreign guys before I got with him, the last long-term British guy, he said, oh, I know you always fancy foreign guys. You'll never stop fancying foreign guys. And he even knew back then more than I did. And he used to get jealous, and he was very possessive, though, person, which wasn't very good. And he used to, but I wasn't even doing anything with them. I just see them walk by me. I wasn't going up to them. I wasn't talking to them. I wasn't flirting with them. But he was always, I think he was always jealous of the fact that I was with foreign guys before I got into a relationship with him. But that's just the way it was. I was with an Afghanistan guy in a relationship, but it didn't last very long. I've been with a Latino guy. I've been with another Middle Eastern guy. But these were short-term relationships. Not that I wanted them to be, but they had to be because they weren't good for me. So actually, I've had my longish relationships with British guys. But it does prove that even then, he used to say to me about foreign guys, I always used to accuse me of being a lesbian, which I'm clearly not. So obviously there were signs that I was asexual probably back then, you know, because I wasn't really into sex. But I used to hate nudity. And then you say, oh, well, you're just a lesbian then, are you? And I'm like, well, no, I hate women's bodies. Like, why would I be a lesbian? It makes no sense. I think he was just doing that to get out the fact that he didn't want me to stop him seeing naked women's bodies, which I wasn't very happy about. I can't stop someone doing anything, obviously, because that is kind of a control thing. But back then I was a bit more like that, bit more possessive type person because I didn't trust him and I had a lot of insecurities from the past. And he was the wrong person anyway. He was, you know, not a good person. I think he was watching porn and stuff behind my back and all sorts. He told me some of the stuff he got up to. Like masturbating over Britney Spears, he told me once, just while I was at work, just to upset me. I mean, it's not nice stuff that he did, but there you go. And it's so like, do you know what I mean? But it's kind of like, you know, it's very difficult for me. So basically that's it. You know, you can be hyper romantic and want multiple relationships with multiple people so that you can allow the different types of attractions to basically, you know, pan out and see how they go with all different multiple people. Or you can be a hyper romantic monogamous person where you only want to be serious committed relationship with one person and just have to accept the fact that you have multiple attractions for different people but don't actually want to be in a committed relationship or any type of relationship at all other than a friendship or acquaintance with those other people, basically. So that's the difference. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you for now because I've got to go out on an audio call, and I'll see you on the next live stream or video. Take care, embrace your quirky and each other's. Bye-bye. Lots of love.